catlovedreamingpeach.com.
I would have an abortion. Part 2.
Auto-generated captions may have typos.
Well, I just made the first video and now I feel compelled to make part 2. So, I've already said it multiple times in other videos, so it's no surprise, but I'm 51 years old and I've got 2 children. I am a single mom. Me and my baby's daddy were high school sweethearts. Then we broke up right after high school. Well, I was done with high school. And then like 16 years later, we got back together for like 8 years. And we have been consciously uncoupled and co-parents for almost 10 years. Oh, yes. Actually, that's right. Our anniversary was November 17th. So technically, we consciously uncoupled when what would have been our 7th anniversary, but then we continued living together as roommates / co-parents for almost a year more. So we were technically together for 7 years, but like living together with our kids this 8th year, but not together. But anyway, and that was almost 10 years ago, and I am celibate by choice. I have been celibate since the time that me and him broke up, uncoupled, and I have not been with anyone since my baby's daddy. And other than that, Mr. Wrong SP obsession guy that I was obsessed with for forever. There was no one, like, I would have done something with him. I would have probably gone all the way. I probably would have had baby number 3 with him. I mean, I fantasized. Like I said, it was an obsession. But it was all like a fantasy. It was just a fantasy. We were in real life. We had used to been friends with benefits many years ago. And I tried to rekindle the friendship and maybe more with him. And, other than us going out like twice, and it was like pretty brief. And we hugged a couple times. That was it. And anyway, the whole point is that, like, if somebody watches that other video and they're like, oh my God, she would have had all those abortions and she had... So the thing is that... Also, I had said in the video, so when I was 19 to 21, I had this on-off boyfriend guy that, I was still extremely deeply traumatized from my ex-mother, my biological mother, who stopped being my mother when I was 4, when she abandoned me and my sister to a foster home, and then my real dad, my biological dad, and his new wife, who is the woman who raised me my whole life since I was 4, almost like a month away from 5, and that's my mom. And that's why I always distinguish my biological mother from my mom. My mom is the woman who raised me, and she's one of my best friends to this day. And anyways, wait, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I was saying that when I was in the terrible relationship with that horribly abusive guy when I was 19, 20, and 21, and then I was like, I realized that if I had ever gotten pregnant by him, I would have had an abortion. And then I was like, this is a pretty good measurement of, like, don't date anybody if I would have an abortion if I did get pregnant by them. However, that does sound kind of self-righteous, and the fact of the matter is, I did go on to date other guys who I actually would have had an abortion if I had not had fertility issues that made me essentially sterile at the time. It was permanent. I mean, it was not permanent because I have my 2 beautiful children. And again, like I said, I was 35 years old when I got pregnant with my now 15-year-old. And then I thought I wasn't never going to be able to, me and my baby's daddy, we were already having a tumultuous relationship and not the fantasy that I had hoped it would be. And, but then I was blessed. It was a miracle. I was able to get pregnant a second time. But so I've been pregnant twice in my entire life. I've only been pregnant twice. So when I say I would have an abortion, well, like at this point, I'm done. I mean, I'm still getting my period and I'm all nice and regular and everything is good and healthy even at 51. And I feel like I might have like a later menopause. I might be going into menopause like later because I got my menstrual cycle much later, but then I had problems all in my teens and all in my 20s. And like I said, it wasn't until I found Eastern medicine, and that included changing my diet, which was going vegan, and healing a lot of my emotional blocks from my biological mother and the pain from that was stopping me, that was also manifesting as, reproductive problems, and also self-massage, and just in general improving my health and healing some of the unhealed, previously unseen wounds, like I said, about being a biological mother, because of all of the trauma that my biological mother, victimized me to, exposed me to, did to me, all the shit she fucking did to me. And so, that fucked me up big time. And so I healed that. I changed my diet. I did self-massage, and and then I actually got fertile, and miracle 1 and miracle 2, like very surprised, I mean, I was back with my high school sweetheart who had known since high school I couldn't get pregnant. I couldn't get pregnant then. We had unprotected sex many times throughout the 16 years that we were not together. I mean, it was like scattered. I would have never had an abortion if I had got pregnant with him. He was the only man that I ever wanted to have kids with. And it just worked out, all the different things that happened in our lives, that when I was actually healing my reproductive issues and I was back with him, and then I got pregnant. And now, like I was saying, now I don't have any desire to have another child. I'm 51 years old. I've got a 15-year-old and a almost 13-year-old, and my kid is talking about driving a car, and my other kid is like getting armpit hair, and I chose to be celibate and not to date because I wanted to focus on me, and I wanted to reclaim my body and my innocence and my being a non-sexual being, because that was stolen from me when I was a child. And so now the fact that I'm 10 years old with my being innocent, and I still have no desire. It's like, well, I wouldn't want a 10-year-old is still not, so I feel like I could go another 8 years, another 10. I don't care. Like, I have no interest in that at this time, at least not in the real physical world. I think about it and whatever, and I deal with healing it, but I'm not interested in having sexual relations with anybody. But the point is that being a self-righteous motherfucker who looks down on other people for whatever position they find themselves in and whatever stage in their life that they happen to be going through, and if somebody's having unprotected sex and they don't happen to be, unable to get pregnant, they happen to be a regularly fertile person, and they, for whatever reason, they choose to have unprotected sex, or either in an abusive relationship, or something happens to them, they're essayed, or whatever, if they end up pregnant and they don't want to have that baby for whatever millions of billions of infinite possibilities of reasons that are none of your motherfucking business. Well, I could do a whole nother 10 minutes about the hypocrisy of people claiming that cells inside somebody else's body has the right to life, but then the person who's actually got the cells of that potential life inside of them, who's going to be physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, for life impacted directly, but other people think that their opinion matters more than that person's life. It's just crazy.